Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. She'll also bring insightful interviews with successful business owners who have used networking to expand their businesses. Building relationships is the heart of networking, and generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you toward those important relationships for your business or career. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Hello there, and welcome to the Networker's Tour Guide podcast. I'm your host, Faithann. I'm glad you found the show. Networking is providing opportunities for others that they would not have except for you, so that you have standing to ask for opportunities from those same people when you need them. How do we create opportunities for others, and how do we ask for those same opportunities? Well, that's what this podcast is all about, and it's what I'm here for. Let's dive into episode 5. In the very beginning of the episode, the intro that you hear as the music's playing, the voice says, "Building relationships is the heart of networking. Generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you towards those important relationships for your business or career." This episode is about generosity. When we talk about the cruise ship analogy, so I want to go from here to the Bahamas. In an analogy, I'm a new business owner, and the Bahamas is I'm at a place where I'm giving referrals consistently, and I'm receiving referrals, and I'm being recommended on Facebook, and I'm getting word-of-mouth recommendations as part of my business on a regular, consistent basis. And then the cruise ship is the way I get from point A to point B through generosity. So I want to just break that down a little bit even more. So imagine you're on the cruise ship, and you're about to set sail, and the captain comes over the loudspeaker and he says, "Everybody, on the count of 3, I want everyone to say, 'Let's go.'" And I want you to just repeat that over and over again. And that's how we're going to get this cruise ship going. We're just going to chant, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." So the captain says, "Ready, 1, 2, 3. And we all start chanting, "Let's go, let's go." And nothing happens. And the captain says, "Well, maybe we were just not being loud enough." And so he says, "Let's do it again." And we're even louder, and we're saying, "Let's go." And we're chanting it over and over again. And then finally, after about 30 minutes of this, getting nowhere, a lowly ship employee down in the engine room, he comes up and he says, "Captain, maybe we should turn on the engines. Maybe we could try that." So the engine is what makes the cruise ship go. We could all stand around and wish that the cruise ship moved with all of our might, and we can chant and we can yell and scream and carry on. But it's the engine, and I don't even know how many engines a cruise ship needs, maybe many, but either engine or engines that moves the boat forward. So generosity in networking is what's going to move us forward, getting from a place where we don't know anybody in town, where nobody knows us and we don't know anyone, to that final destination of not really being able to go out in your town anywhere without seeing somebody you know in a business setting. It's generosity, and that's what networking has taught me. And specifically, Business Networking International, BNI, the networking group that I first joined, and I have seen that spirit of generosity in other networking groups. I learned it in BNI, and they have a saying, it's called Giver's Gain, and it's give first and don't count, don't tally, don't give with the tally marks. Well, I gave Bob 6 referrals, and now I expect 6 referrals back. Give first, and the natural flow is going to be that you will receive. And I've thought a lot about that. Is that still transactional? It's just delayed? And I don't really think so. I think that the giving back is not the transaction. It's just the genuineness of wanting to support those people who have given to you, who you know are competent and you want to see win. And I'm telling you, if I get the sense that somebody doesn't really want me to win in business, then I'm not going to want them to win either. And that's what I noticed about B&I from the very beginning. And I noticed too in other groups that I go to. So it's not just B&I, it's just B&I was where I first learned it, is that everyone wanted me to win. And I'm coming in there as a brand new business owner with my little window cleaning route. And all I want to do is just not mess up, because the caliber of people in this room were just so way above me. And I didn't want to disappoint. I felt like I had been given the major league jersey and I had to play. I couldn't deny, I couldn't decline work because they let me in the group. And I wanted them to win, and I could tell so much from the very first meeting that they wanted me to win. So it's this generosity that is the power behind networking. It's not how many total sales. That's not the power. It's great to have goals, to have revenue goals, to have sales goals. And networking really shouldn't be the only thing you're doing to grow your business, but it's a big part of it. And that foundation is the generosity that we have with those people we are networking with. So a couple of examples I've thought of over the years that have been acts of generosity towards me, and then maybe talk a little bit about even how our businesses can be generous. So when I was in my B&I chapter, it was about a year into it, and on our window cleaning route, we were having issues with our employees leaving things all over town, leaving squeegees and leaving poles and leaving equipment all over town. And, whose fault is it when that happens? When the customer says, yeah, you left a squeegee here, and then we don't have it for the next day. Whose fault is it? Is it our fault for not having good systems in place? Is it the employee's fault? What do we do about that? How do we corral this problem? So there was a carpet cleaner in our group in B&I, and I said, can I have a one-to-one with you? And he said, certainly. So we had the one-to-one, and I said, this is the issue I'm having. And he has a crew. He was in a very similar industry in that we both served clients. We both had to travel to the client's home to provide the service. We both had tools. We both had employees. So I just kind of asked him to go deep into the weeds about his procedures. What are your people required to do? What happens when this happens? And what happens when that happens? He was an open book. He told me everything I needed to know, everything. There wasn't one thing that he said, well, I can't really tell you that. Everything. It was so helpful for me. It was so helpful for both of us, my husband and I, because we don't have MBAs from school. We don't know what's normal and what's abnormal. I mean, we've raised children. And, do you treat your employees like your children, or is there rules about there's things you can't do, I'm sure. And it was just so wonderful to be able to sit down with somebody who had similar business, even though we're not exactly the same, but there were so much similarities that we could learn from each other. And of course, I was the learner, not the one with all the knowledge. So generosity, I mean, he spent that hour with me. And for him, it probably didn't mean anything. He didn't think anything about it, but it was that nature, that generous nature that he had that said, oh, I'll help you.
Hi, listeners. Are you someone who struggles to ask engaging questions at your business lunches? Faithann has put together her list of 10 questions she uses when she is with a business owner over lunch or coffee. These questions build rapport, and more importantly, make that person you're talking to feel seen and heard. Go grab this free resource today by clicking on the questions link in the show notes.
I have another business owner who I was talking to during a time where we were really down on employees, and she did websites. And she said, tell me about what's going on with you. It was our very first one-to-one. And I said, man, I am just beside myself. I just don't have enough help. And she said, oh, well, we need to get you some help. And then she proceeded to tell me 3 or 4 things I could do on my website that might spread the word that I need employees. So she knew that, I could not even think about a website. I couldn't think about anything, SEO or any of that, if I don't have the people I need to service the accounts that I had. That was a priority. And when she said, we need to find you some employees, I've never forgotten that. We, meaning, Faithann, your problem is my problem for this hour that we're sitting here together. Wow. So generosity. So those are just a couple of examples. If I sat and really thought, I could probably think of hundreds more of examples of generosity, people who've been generous to me. And sometimes it doesn't take a lot to be generous. Is an extra 10 minutes on the phone with somebody. It's 10 minutes, but it might be the thing that gives them the motivation to do the thing that they need to do. Or it might just be the end of the day, exactly what they need to not spend the rest of the evening depressed. And we don't have to always give all of our time away. I'm not advocating that we're always doing things for free, but can we be generous with our knowledge especially? I think that really has been the thing that networking that I've noticed, out of the kinds of generosity, it's been people's knowledge that they have been generous with that has impacted me the most. It's that engine that moves me forward, that we can move each other forward in giving and wanting each other to win. Now, I'll wrap this episode up by saying, providing a good product or service to your clients is also an act of generosity. Well, Faithann, that's not being generous. You're getting paid. I disagree. I think working on your own business and really always striving to provide a customer with a better experience, with a quality experience. And as my sales coach, Nikki Rausch, says, surprise and delight. If we're looking to how can we surprise and delight our customers, if we are striving for that and we're striving to align ourselves with people who will also surprise and delight our customers when we refer them, we are being generous. A good customer experience that makes the person feel good, even though there's money transacted, is still something that we can look forward to in our lives, that bring about great changes in our lives, that can be so helpful when there's a sea of bad people all around us. If we are the company that does the job well, we stand out in our generosity. And then, sometimes we can do little extra things for our clients that goes above and beyond. I wouldn't discount that. Those acts. So to recap, if you can be generous with your knowledge, you can really make a good impact on those around you. And if you can work on your own company to make your product or service a great experience for your customer, you're being generous. So go network, my friend, and remember that generosity is the power that moves us forward in our business and gets us from not being known to being known and loved by many.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.